Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, or Tank12, haven't called me. I don't really care. Welcome back to World of Tanks related content. Today we're going to be talking about 4 maps that are currently being changed from the super test. We're going to go through all of the changes and we're going to talk about what these changes do entail and what it means for us players in the near future. I think this is a very good thing. Wargaming is finally taking a look at some of the maps and they want to balance things out. And if they can start with the maps, probably they can go over to the vehicles as well. That's my hope, at least. So first one is steps. This is the only video we have available. And steps in the north, you actually have like a ridgeline where usually tanks were sitting back in the days. Well, you can still sit there. This is how it looks right now. Wait, this is how it looks right now. You have a couple of bushes. You have one rock that is the only solid cover you have up there. And now you're going to have a lot more rocks. So that means you're going to have a lot more cover when you're trying to defend the base from the 8 and 9 line. What they also did is they made it less easy for the south to push into this little valley because they have made the valley larger and they've opened it up. They've opened it up more. So now that vehicles cannot just go into that position. Also, trees have been taken away. So one of my favorite sniping positions right here now no longer really works because the trees, as you can see right here, the trees and the bush right there, they have provided quite solid cover for anyone hiding in that little spot. So that now has disappeared. The bush down there has gone down, and this is a very big change. So the open spot in the south where tanks like to take cover and shoot you, this position has been changed, and now there is a single tree that has gone missing. It's a very large tree. Let me show you guys real fast. This tree, if you knock it over, you have enough cover, but you can still take the position on the left. There's still 2 trees, but it no longer will work there. Now next we're getting to mines, and mines is actually getting a whole bunch of cover in the south. So this rock is going to change. You no longer can be shot in the south from the middle part right there, from E5. That is going to be a big change. It will make the push from the south easier, and it will make the southern part of the map more playable for your team. They're also going to be adding some walls right here and a little bit of more cover. So when you're pushing around the corner from the south, you're actually going to have more options. I'm not entirely sure. This wall right here actually also serves as protection for anyone coming in from north trying to shoot tanks in the enemy base. So that's also a nice little piece of resistance right here. Piece of resistance. Yeah, so all of these changes, they look quite interesting, and it's going to be interesting when these changes will hit the live server. Now, moving on, we have one more change, and it's Live Oaks. This is a North American map. And what you can see is that they have actually changed the city part. This is what the map is actually like nowadays. I'm just going to zoom in so you guys will see it better. This is what the city looks like right now, and this is what the city will look like in the future. You can see you have a lot more solid cover, buildings that cannot be destroyed, lining the entrance. There's still a road right here which leads right over to the little left side, but it's a lot more difficult now for the team in the north to actually get into that position here and get into cover because they actually taken away that one route where you can go over here because there's no solid cover here. So that means that you coming in from the south are going to have an easier time getting into this position than the enemy team coming in from the north. There's a very big open large field that will make, crossing it quite a bit more dangerous. You had a lot of cover prior, you don't have that cover anymore now. So this is what it looks like before. This is what it looks like right now. You have a lot of cover in this little area here. You have a lot of cover when you cross over, and this is going to change by quite a bit. Now more tanks can get into this little space. There are a few buildings that will provide you cover from the big field at the back, but also there's going to be buildings right here, so you're not going to be getting shot at from the one spot where tank destroyers like to sit. But the road here has opened up quite substantially. Look at the road right here. The road is quite large here as well, but the road here actually, you still have a little bit of cover when you cross over. The cover actually improves in some areas. You have way more place to maneuver than you had prior. Right here, this is a very large open space now. And this is going to be quite interesting. So the battle is probably going to be raging on between like these two, like this little corner here. This is what it looks like right now. You don't have a lot of cover when you're trying to reach the city from the south. But as soon as they actually change the maps, they're going to dig some channels where you can go down below the ridgeline and you can go into the city without getting shot too much, unless you're a very tall tank. Now, one of the things that is also going to be changing is right now we have this very open space if you're getting to the northern base, and what they're going to be doing is they're going to be adding there's a little hill with a couple of trees on it so that you can actually push them over, and it will provide you cover depending on if you're coming from the base or if you're going towards the city. Well, if you're going towards the base or going towards the city, it will give you cover. So I think that's quite nice. It is also a defensive position if the enemy team has actually breached the city. It's quite interesting. A scout tank could be hiding in here, spot anything that's trying to get into the base. Now, moving on, we have the south. The south is actually losing quite a bit of land. This is what it looks like, wait a minute. Okay, this is what it looks like right now, so it's actually gaining more land. I'm sorry about that. You don't have a lot of space to maneuver if you're coming in from the south. You have to kind of go along this side. And what it's going to be like in the future is you actually have like more spaces where you can go dip your tank into a little bit of the water, and you'll have a little bit of cover here. So if you are smart and nobody's going to play the tongue over here, you can get into these bushes and shoot tanks that are coming from over there. So you have like a lot more land to play on, a lot more space, but it's also very exposed space. So I'm not really sure how that is going to play out in the future. Then you're going to have more cover. This is what it looks like right now if you're going towards the northern base. But the northern base is going to have a little bit of cover. There are going to be two buildings which will be very important when you're trying to push into their base, because the sniping positions back there are still around, but now you have two buildings that are blocking your entrance. So this is what you're getting with Live Oaks. Some very substantial changes in very important areas that usually have been very contested, and it's going to be interesting to see what will end up happening. So finally, we're moving on over to Cliff. Now, Cliff, you can see all of the spaces that have been changed. The map looks really cool from above. There's the Pantheon on top with the temple. You have the lighthouse over here, and there are a lot of places that have been changed, 5 in total. So this is the southern spawn. What you can see, what changes here is they actually take away this ridgeline. This ridgeline right here gave you quite a bit of cover. This ridgeline now is gone. You have one rock that has been placed there, but you cannot really play this position with a lot of tanks anymore because the ridgeline is completely gone. So the south is going to have a harder time defending the base from incoming tanks. Then you have this little slope. Beforehand, you had these rocks that were making it quite dangerous to dip down here and go into the southern spawn, attack that spawn. Now they have taken away some of the rocks and made it a lot easier to traverse if you're coming in from the north. So that's going to be an interesting change. So far, the south has actually just lost, I think, more ground and has been weakened by these two changes. I'm not really sure if I like that, though. Then we have the middle with the statue over here. And they actually made the hill a bit larger on the southern side. So you can actually have a little bit more cover when you're trying to, engage these guys coming in. So that's probably going to be like a little bit of a buff for the southern side. Then you have the one rock. which was pretty pointless in my opinion, because if you were in this rock and somebody was on the hill, you were constantly getting spotted and you weren't able to move anywhere. This rock has actually now grown larger and it covers more field. Like it's larger and it goes further out. So you're going to have more cover here, but you cannot shoot the tanks that are driving over. So if anyone is crossing, you have less arc of fire and you have to expose yourself outside of the cover to be able to shoot them. So this is another position that has been weakened a little bit, but also it's larger now. It's a bigger rock where you can actually hide behind it over here instead of just, stay here and hope that nobody shoots you from there, because now the rock is really in the way. Now, the one position everyone loves, and it's the... Oh no, it's actually not that position. Sorry, I'm mistaken. This is the rock on the other side from the north spawn. And this rock, you can also see that they have made access ways down into the north base, where you can get down there easier. So that's one access way. And they've also reduced like the foliage on top, and it almost looks like you have now the opportunity to climb this position. So I'm not really sure if that is climbable. You might be getting pushed up there if somebody's behind you, but it doesn't look like it has an access way. One thing it does have is that it goes down lower. The rock kind of gets reduced in height, and now you can actually shoot from the top of the hill all the way down here into the enemy base, or vice versa. I'm not really sure, but maybe you have like new lines of fire that you didn't have before. Then we have the one position that a lot of people... No, it's still another position. It's the middle. This is the middle, and there's a rock in the way, and this is where you climb up from the south. And what you can see is that the rock has actually expanded over here, so you don't just drop into nothingness when you're trying to get down here. By creating this little ledge here, you can actually slide down here, and I think that's about it. It has become a bit more flat, but other than that, no other changes. So it looks like the map has been adjusted a little bit. No huge changes, but these changes will have quite a bit of an impact. I think the changes mainly revolve around the south spawn, the south spawn, and I'm not really sure if that doesn't just give the north spawn a massive advantage. But to be fair, they're making it harder for the south to be as dominant as they are right now, and this might just be the one good idea that really does improve the balance. So finally, we're going over to Westfield. Westfield is quite interesting because Westfield, in my opinion, is a map that I like to play a lot, but Westfield has some very specific advantages on, well, depending on which side you're on. Because usually what ends up happening is people fight for the ridgeline over here with the heavy tanks. You fight for this little corner on the other side with the medium tanks, and you have snipers in different positions in the middle of the map. Now, one of the things I've noticed is that pushing the north from the south side with the ridgeline here is actually... I think it's harder in my opinion, but you have more maneuverable places, but I think it's harder because usually you're in the offense. The south back there has like the advantage in defense. So yeah, we'll have to see what they're going to be doing. Okay, so the first position they're going to be changing right now is... This is A3. This is the first position over here. This is like the dip where you can rush into and you can actually shoot anyone advancing from the south here. And when you look at it, actually, they have added some terrain to it. So you actually have to drive out of cover into a position up here to be able to shoot them. But that also gives you more cover if you're in that position. not really sure how that goes. So this is the same position. You're going to be inside of the dip more. You don't have like the ability to just go out here and shoot them, but you actually have to take one of the routes. Either you drive up here, or you drive up here, and you're going to expose yourself either way more than you did right here. So that actually will give the southern team that is pushing an advantage in offense, and will make the defense from the north harder, more difficult. So this is the same position as you can see right here. More rocks, which gives you better cover as well, but you'll actually have to drive out of cover to shoot these guys, unless you have really good gun depression. So this is what it looks like from our side when we're pushing from the south. You can see it's really like a little valley that creates itself. So this is when you're pushing in from the south and you're going to that little position all the way up here with the little rock. When you're driving to that rock, you actually don't have a lot of cover. So they actually added a little bit of cover here. So you can actually you can play this side here. If you do risk it and you drive to this corner, you now have a little bit of cover that will give you maybe a hold down position to hold. So this is the same position, but just with a different kind of angle. This will make it harder for the north team to push into this position. This is the city or the village, and some buildings have been repositioned. Some buildings have been changed in direction. Right here, you actually have 2 more buildings now. So there is more cover from the team coming in from south, and at the same time, the building over here has changed its direction. So there's no more cover for the team that is pushing this building, or from the team in the north. You actually have a lot less like space to hide behind that building. So you have to use that building, or you have to stay away from that building. This is the exact place where they have actually made the changes. You can see the buildings that pop up here. You have the building over there that has been shifted or is actually completely new. This building has shifted more to the left, but we don't really know exactly what kind of difference it has. The cap in the middle, if you play Encounter, the cap in the middle is actually now better protected because there's an additional building in the middle. That will give you more protection, and it will be harder to shoot inside of this cap if you're coming in from the bridge over there, the village. Okay, so one more position that is going to be changing. It's going to be K7. This is a place where the team from the south usually stacks up their medium tanks, and it's very difficult to move in over if the enemy team has faster tanks, because you are going to get spotted when you cross, and they have way more cover over there than you have here, and you get exposed from this side, and you also get exposed from all the way over here on the other side of the hill. So I think that position definitely needed some changes, and this is actually a change. So I'm not entirely sure what has happened. They have made the ground behind it a bit deeper or more steep, and they have elongated the position, but there's not a lot of foliage here, so if you're driving up here, you're going to be very exposed. They've moved the trees a little bit, but it just looks like it's wider. So I'm not entirely sure if that is enough. It also looks like this area here has become like a bit more hilly. Like we can probably see it here best. Actually not. It has been elongated, so the thing has become longer, the little hill, and you have more cover, so more tanks can fit behind it. But I don't really know what's changed for safer and more convenient gameplay for the lower team's medium tanks. I don't really see exactly the idea right here with more convenience. It's a bit bigger, just a bit, but it's not going to be like having a massive impact in my opinion. Because you're still going to get shot from the other side. You cannot completely hide your tank. On the other side, you can completely hide your vehicle from the incoming shots from over here if you're hiding it right behind there. Unless they drive all the way out there where you're going to be able to shoot them and your team will be spotting them. So I still think it's a bit unfair. But, it's getting improved, so I'm not going to complain too much about it. Rocks were added and the terrain was changed on the cliff to prevent vehicles from accidentally falling. Okay, so the southern team now can actually play this position with more ease without, just driving or falling to their death. Um, I'm not entirely sure if this has been an escape route that has been blocked off, but I don't think it is. So yeah, you get a few more rocks here. The bushes are a bit higher up. The terrain has been lifted a little bit, but other than that, it's still the exact same. Um, oh, okay, so they removed some rocks over here when they're trying to get into position. So yeah, the changes on Westfield are massive, at least on the field out here. But the changes inside of the heavy tank area where a lot of the fighting takes place, that's quite large. That's pretty huge. These changes are massive, and these changes can have quite a big impact. And I think they've made the game or the map a bit more balanced, and has taken away like the favor of the northern team that can just basically stack up right there, because the northern team can always defend this position and the southern team doesn't have these defensive positions that the northern team has, so you have to attack if you're coming in from the south. So this was all of the maps, all of the changes. I think most of the changes are quite nice. They are going to be super tested, so everything is still subject to change. But I think it's important that we have a little bit of a understanding what will happen, and wargaming is actually taking time and resources to make some of these changes. So, hope you guys did enjoy. As always, comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, have a good one.